most makeups on set usually on average like an hour and a half to 3 hours. And then if it's a lot of makeup and a lot of paint work that has to be done, it can take up to 8 hours just to do one makeup. You'll have like a crew of guys and girls working on this makeup. Like the Drax makeup for Guardians of the Galaxy. I think that's a 6 hour makeup. It's all transfers all over the body. How's that? That's good. That's good.
Is that just baby powder?
Yeah, this is baby powder just so that when the suit goes on, because there's a lot of friction when foam latex touches the skin, it just wants to grab on that that moist skin. And so we put a little bit of baby powder just to dry it up, and that helps the suit slide on, and it's super tight. Because that one photo that I had of him in the life cast, that was a full body life cast I did of my brother, and then did his head. So that way, everything that we have like fits him like a glove. It won't really fit me that well, but it fits him just like a glove. And another way, what we do to the life cast is we grind down, or we would core out. Like if you casted his body in stone, the suit would fit him perfectly, but we want it super, super tight. So you take down the entire core all the way down by about a 1/4 inch all the way around. So that way when you run the suit and he puts it on, it fits him super snug, like a corset.
So Wayne, I have a question.
Yeah.
Since you were in this amazingly talented person who has all this creativity that just kind of pops into your head, have you created ever a character, any special thing coming from your own head that actually kind of creeped you out yourself, or you created it to scare other people, and then when you kind of take a look back at it, like, yeah, it kind of scared me in the middle of it, you know, because it's coming from your own, like, wow, what would it like hate it?
I don't know.
Get scared from it.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had really created something that's like that. I think some of the stuff that we're making for the haunted house is on the level where it's like really creep factor. There's a lot of stuff that I sculpt is like, it's cool, but it's not really like super, super scary in my eyes. So that's something that I'm trying to really force into that haunt to where it's just like really, like it scares me. If it scares me, and I know it's really going to
Yeah, that's what I
else.
wanted.
Yeah. So this suit is from 2015 is when I sculpted this, so it's a pretty old suit. But it's still holding up pretty good. I mean, it needs a lot of like touch-ups. So yeah, putting a suit on an actor is a constant like push against me. I'm putting it on, so there's a lot of force behind it.
How long can they stay in those kind of suits?
On set, you could be in for 16 hours. My brother the longest he's worn a suit was 12 hours in Vegas. It was like the longest night of our lives. We had finished at like 5 a.m. It was crazy. Were you looking at the sensors? Just yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah. It powers the servos.
Did you mind houses as a kid, like you were volunteer in them?
Just the one my dad did, that was it. Yeah. We really didn't have, growing up, we really didn't have like big modern houses like you do like out in the Midwest or like up east and stuff. Like, you know, we didn't have that really here. We had like Mike Greenwell's, it was not that good. And then the nature walk, out in like Lakes Park.
Valid for them. Just checking everyone's away.
And then we would have like the nature walk. It was okay, but you're like waiting in line for like hours and are really disappointed with what it was. Wow, I mean, this much money it was.
Did you ever go to Hollow Street?
Yeah, I did one time. That's the Busch Gardens, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we went there once. It was pretty cool. I liked it. It was actually really well done versus some of the stuff that Universal even Disney.
That's Rose. I'm glad it was that
Normally with this style, the way this makeup is designed, I usually go in first with my color and kind of work around that because I want to keep the appearance on as long as possible so that way he doesn't overheat, especially like if we're going to be out for hours upon hours. So I usually save that until the last. So that was candidly a way of just doing the majority of like the colors that are in here and then kind of doing that on his face first and then pulling it on because this is a alcohol-based paint. So it's not grease paint like what we all see in like Halloween stores and stays all greasy. And this is actually like dries and you really can't feel it on your skin, but it's just like a color palette. So the only thing with these alcohol palettes is that you're actually using like 99% alcohol or 91% alcohol to activate the color. So also having that option, the makeup is waterproof. So you never have to worry about like if it's raining outside or if he's sweating, he's never going to sweat this makeup. Even though the sweat has, you know, salt and stuff in it or whatever, it's not going to sweat it off as fast if it's like grease makeup or something like that. But it also does if when you're applying it, if it's too wet, you come in, it's flashing off. That alcohol is flashing off. It'll kind of like tend to like make his eyes water or burn, and it stings really bad. I mean, if you get alcohol in your eyes, just like it's kind of like rubbing alcohol. Is how it feels like this. And normally when I'm applying it on there, I'll get the color on and kind of just wave it so that way it flashes off that first initial like fume that's coming off. And I just come in and just apply it. Apply the makeup. And it goes on kind of heavy sometimes, but as it dries and flashes off, it just gets really, really light. So it may look like it goes down the tape, but it stays light. The good thing about it is once it dries, I can always take a little damp brush with alcohol on and go back in and just kind of like soften it down. If things get a little bit too heavy or too liney and stuff like that, we just go back in and adjust that. But right now I'm just adding like little line work because you don't want to cover his eye completely white. You want some of his skin to still punch through it. You got a little bit of the purple in the eye that's coming through there as well. So it really depends, you know, what the character is and on what the eye color is going to be. Because you always see like, oh, crappy Halloween makeup, it's always like black eyes and black mouth. You just know instantly his face. So we're always trying to keep a level of realism to the makeup that we're doing. And then once I put the mask on, it's like a mask makeup, I guess. So then I'll come back in and noodle around just a little bit more and bring his flesh tone onto the mask just a little bit, so that way it looks a little bit more appealing. Mike, do we have a hard out instead of?
No.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
Normally I bring my liquid alcohol. It's like in bottles and I can just put it right in my airbrush and super fast, but you can't fly with the alcohol because it's flammable on the planes. They'll just confiscate it. I'm not going to lose all that money for this, just for the taking. So I brought, these are just the dry palette. So this is also pretty old. He did this one in 2016. The next year, I was like, the old Dracula this doesn't look really all that great to me anymore. So I'm going to sculpt a new vampire head with huge ears and huge teeth.
What do you use for your live cast?
This is a mixture of like boat resin. So it's resin mixed with Bondo. So like what they fix cars with. So you mix 50-50 resin and Bondo, and it creates a nice surface coat. So you can kind of see, and it actually creates like a flesh tone with the two mixed together because your catalyst for Bondo is red. Once it mixes all together, it kind of turns to this tone. So this is but it's super lightweight, and then it's backfilled with rigid foam. So that's mainly what we sculpt on. And this is just a prop head, so that way we store the makeup, so that way it doesn't like lay around like this, so that way it always stays nice and firm. Yeah, that's actually a good question. I don't think you can see it. But there is carbon fiber. So these are carbon fiber ears. If it was just all foam latex, these ears would be just flopping. Because you can see like the tips. I went just as far as I could without getting too thin with material. So when I run the foam latex, I'm not going to have any bleed through. Bleed through meaning like the understructure is going to come through the sculpture, and then I have to do all this foam fabrication and patch it. So there's actually carbon fiber skull cap that you would build off of this. That's laying, his head's laying in the mold, and then I have the negative mold of the sculpture that's there, and then I just core it out. And coring out is laying strips of clay in there and then creating kind of like a little bed that the carbon fiber will then lay onto, and then it all comes apart, clean it out, and then you have. It's hard to explain it. It's a hands-on thing, so it's one of those things that just happens. You have to be hands-on with it. I think somebody's going to that's right. I'm going to glue it down. I'm going to start up this nose area. And this is what we're using here is this is a Telesis 5, which is a medical grade adhesive, and it dries super fast and it's super sticky. Pretty much once you stick it down. Do kind of like a couple of tacks with it because it's like a contact adhesive, and once it feels itself against itself, it just starts to, you can almost like dry it out and then it sticks down. But you just want to make sure that, you know, after doing this a few times, you kind of know where the makeup lines up. And that's something to where when you're doing a multiple piece appliance, that if you don't lay everything symmetrical down that face, and you finish it, all of a sudden you have a nose going this way, chin going that way, so it's one of those things where you have to keep in mind where, you know, everything's registering underneath this makeup, where it's around the nose, around the eyes, around the brow, so that way everything comes in contact where it's supposed to come in contact with, or it's not going to look right. It's not going to move right. It's going to look weird. Look up.
Do you use alcohol paint and airbrush for the bodysuit and stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a few different methods you can do on foam latex. I think originally this was painted with acrylics, that's why it's all cracking and falling apart. And then the head is painted with rubber cement paint, which is like your craft rubber cement glue, like paper. Then you thin that down with naphtha, which is a horrible chemical. And then you airbrush with that, and then you use oil paints to tint it. And it becomes super stretchy. When you thin it out, it becomes very, very stretchy. So that's what the top is painted with. So it moves along with the foam latex versus acrylics, getting really stiff when they dry, and then it starts to crack. That's why this is happening. But I did bring acrylics for my airbrush that I can kind of shade around his eyes just a little bit. So right now I'm just kind of like gluing the key points of the face, like the brows, the cheeks, around the mouth, obviously. So that way when he starts expression. But normally we would glue the entire face on a set. Because if you have any areas that where sweat wants to get into, that sweat just starts to eat away at the glue, and then it lifts it up. And if your actor or actress is out partying the night before and they're drinking alcohol, that alcohol is in their sweat, and it sweats off even faster. So that's something that I heard a lot of funny stories about Jack Nicholson. He's showing up to set just blitzed from the night before, and then he's just sweating maggots right off. darker, like the greener tones that's in here, and then I come back over with the lighter tones over the top. That way you're creating like that.
This is just acrylic paint. It's like Tim Gore's Bloodline paints. He's another good friend of mine. He sells these, but this is what I painted a lot of these heads with. Again, it's acrylic, so I mean it's not going to last as much as the eruption of that paint that I was painting this with. Tone this down with a little bit of green, and then I'll come over the top of it with a little bit of Payne's gray, kind of like a blackish, purpley blue, and then I'll help soften this green. You can see how like modeled this in, how all the different colors. So you can go in a lot of times and just kind of create like new spots. Like you have areas that are kind of like falling apart like that, and you just kind of come back in, just model it in. Even though it doesn't look like anything's going down, it's slowly softening all that area, so it doesn't look so bad.
Do you need more light up there? Or are you
Yeah,
okay?
that's all right.
Okay.
Makeup is one of these weird, like when you're doing makeup, it's like you go into like this twilight zone and you don't even realize the clock is just doing this. You do makeup for 4 hours straight and not even move. You're sitting there just applying it. The guys that you're doing makeup on sometimes on set are like eating chips while you're trying to do it. So it's this really weird, like almost like Zen moment that you have while you apply makeup. It just goes by so fast. Just like sculpting or anything you do that you're really, really into, and everything else is just completely quiet. You're totally focused. That's you get lost in time really quick. And it's just one of those things.
You get to know the actors well? Do you talk to much actors?
Yeah, you start talking to them a little bit and go back and forth. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, like Weird Al Yankovic, I went up doing makeup on him, and he was a really cool guy. I really like that guy. He's so funny.
Hey Wayne, what was that one commercial you did that you were the fuzzy bear outfit for 501?
Yeah, you get into it.
Tell me the story about that.
Oh yeah, that was like one of my first. That was when I was at Rick Lazarini's character shop when he first hired me. Then they wound up getting this job to do this suit for this big 501 Chewy bar. It was called Momagus, and it was this kid's having a vision of him being this massive superhero, and he's looking back and it shows this whole setting where there's like this big monster on a spaceship, and then there's the pilot, and he's strapped down and he's like, "Let me go, Momagus," or whatever. And then she's like, "Oh, can you give me a 501 Chewy bar or something like that?" But it's this huge, like this, like 8-foot, 10-foot tall monster, and then the guy that was going to wear it like couldn't do it. So then they're like, "Oh, Wayne's a big guy; he can wear it." And I'm like, "I'll wear it. I'm used to wearing suit stuff." So I wear it, and they're like up on these huge platforms, and the whole animatronic rig was huge. It stuck out like this far as where the lips were, way out here. And then I had complete VR goggles on, and then earpieces that were in, so that way I can actually see what the director sees on the monitor, which was really cool. And it was like totally new to me. I'm like, this is awesome. And I'm in there, all you hear is the servos doing that, and you can hear that going on, but you also can hear when they say action and all that stuff. So that was an awesome experience.
Yeah,
You
but
can look it up on YouTube. I think it's a 501 Chewy Bar Momagus or something like that.
so when you were in the room waiting to be called to come on set, and you got pretty hungry eating all those 501
Oh
bars,
yeah,
right?
yeah, that was pretty funny.
Yeah, tell me the punchline.
I'll see
How many servants do you have?
Just
Were you with them on the house as well?
you can't hear you.
Yeah, I can hear.
Yeah, he was in it too. Yeah.
I got like an inch and a half of foam.
And that's another thing that we.
It's good for concerts.
And that's another thing that, like, when we go to like the costume contest, we would put earpieces in, and I would have one, and he would have one underneath, so that way I can talk to him from like out in the audience or something if he's on stage. So that way we can communicate, especially when we do something with the wings. It gets kind of dangerous because they go up pretty quick, they pistol whip people in the face, and they don't even know what hit them because their wings are up there now, and they're like, "What was that?" So I've seen it all happen, either going up or coming down. So it's like we try to take precaution as much as possible when we do these things, but then you can't help the I'm so reversed with this. Every time. It's in the face.
Did you engineer the wings for this as well?
Oh, my brother did. So I did the first set that were manual pull, and then my brother was like, I want to make him animatronic and go, because he does all the animatronic stuff. So it's like, we work great together because we work on a lot of stuff. So he works on mechanical stuff, and then I do all the skins and the sculpting and stuff, and then we both tackle the mold making and stuff together, and then running the foam as well, because I have, like doing big suits like this, normally you use like a little sunbeam mixer. But once I got into doing suit work, you have to buy a big mixer, like a 20-quart Hobart. So now I have like 2 giant Hobarts that I can do giant batches of foam at a time, so that way you can inject these big, muscle suits or creature suits all in one shot. So there's a lot that goes into it, which I could talk for.
So what you're saying is that you're happy that I taught you how to bake as well, so.
Yep. All I'll remember from baking classes were me licking the spoon.
Yeah.
I was like, what was that? And then just keep licking it. It's frosting. All right, so we're almost. Once he puts those teeth in, because they're quite large, they have to, you want the teeth in now, or?
Yeah, now. I didn't mean it sounded mean. He's getting
Character,
Now.
He needs a Snickers bar.
So here's like his actual teeth casts that I work off of these to sculpt them.
These are the original characters.
Yeah.
Good.
Push up one with your tongue on top. Yeah, so sometimes because I've made these in LA, and then when we get here, it's like, oh, see if they fit, but I don't have any of the materials to do another quick flexor curl inside, and he's smashing it like kind of like a polydent kind of thing. So it's one of those things. It's one of those things to where if he's there, you can adjust it, and just like a dentist would, to make sure they can fit properly. So the way the material is, the flexor curl, it could have heated up just a little bit and kind of like deformed a little bit, so now they're not locking into place. And I think it's just the uppers, because they are pretty big, and then his lip is putting pressure on that tooth, and it's going to make it pop out.
So what you're saying is, sorry, what you're saying is that he's going to start drooling here soon?
Yeah.
So we're prepared.
Yeah, he'll be all right.
I've got some pigeon roll up there somewhere.
Yeah, this is a paper towel.
I'll read it, I guess. I'm sure that's all right.
Have you ever pranked anybody with any of these costumes?
Not yet. Pranked anybody, did like a prank. Yeah. I don't think I would do it in LA.
Drive through and like order like Arby's or something?
Yeah, we could probably do something like that. That'd be pretty fun.
It's always the residents' fault.
What is the name of the signature?
Dracubus. So we got a few buttons pop off, but that's all right.
Wayne, did you study anatomy and physiology as well, or just?
Just look at photos. Look at photos of anatomy and stuff. I don't know, it's just, I guess it just comes natural with it. And what it should look like.
I think Mom has bought you a few anatomy books.
Well, yeah. I think it's 4 weeks. Just make it out. Let's see if this works.
Normally, Robert would be in stills with this stuff too.
Yeah, you really be in stilts and be, 9 foot, something like that. So normally we use like KY or something if they need it really shiny on set, where it looks all glossy. You just go in there with a little bit of KY and you rub it over the top, it gets a nice sheen, it looks all nice and wet. There's also different types of sealers that when we seal the foam latex, it gives it like super high gloss. So it's just another step of like realism that you want to try to on it. Plus, like anything shiny or wet on a suit like this really enhances the color. It's like a KY at the silver or something like that. Is that what you made?
Now I got that from China. It's some kind of lube. It's okay. No, it's all right. It's personal lube. Well, it's super slime.
Yeah. It's super slimy.
Yeah. So, we're making food.
So Wayne, when you said
Yes.
you first made this, with like the whole cost you made £60 or something like that?
It was basically the wing mechanism, because when my brother first engineered it, it was they didn't have the certain type of batteries to power something that's so powerful to open these up. So it all changed to lithium polymer, so it's super it's super lightweight and then a ton of power that's back behind it. So you get a super lightweight little battery versus a motorcycle battery that added a lot of weight.
So what does this weigh now? What's it used to weigh?
It used to weigh 60, now it weighs about 15. So it's a big difference when he's wearing it for X amount of hours. It adds up very quick. I guess we'll wait till we walk out. I think that pretty much sums up everything, and then we'll go outside into the lobby because the wings will rip a hole in the roof here. We'll have to go out to the lobby, and then we can take photos, and that pretty much wraps it up.
Good. Yeah.
The light line here is going to get right on the phone, so maybe, right? This is actually a better spot. This is like a good spot to set up.
Oh. Oh, that's fine. You should probably go upstairs.
Well, he's gonna knock himself off the stairs. He's gonna fly away right onto the floor.
Yeah. Done.
Just barely missed the wall there.
Yeah, there's another bone. There's another bone that came up here. We had to cut the webbing because we were shipping them. It didn't fit. So this one, when I'm looking at it, it's like bones gone with all kinds. But normally the webbing comes all the way out to here. This stretches all the way out. Walk forward a little bit. All right, come down.
Oh.
Can you do that a few more times?
I'll do a couple more shots.
All right.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Going up.
Now, it's actually very fun to kind of like all the way up. It's more comfortable if you're up, so it's in the center than in the back.
Close it up farther.
All right.
Turn to your right a little bit. Hold on, a little higher. Higher.
What?
Coming down. Watch your head.
Taylor. Do this and watch it.
All right, going up.
All right.
Everyone video him.
Oh, yeah, I was like, Just mix that way. So huge.
Now this one won the all contest in the beginning?
Yeah, this one, and then we have another one where he did the same character rides a dragon. It's like a 16-foot dragon that he can ride.
A vampire
You have video of that?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, like unnecessary. I see.
It's on my Instagram. There's a scroll down a few years back.
Wing,
There's
and how it's not even close. That's what he meant, like he didn't take that photo. Because the wings would be full.
One more time? One more. All right, one more time. All right.
Smile.
Does it have a name?
Draculus.
Dracula's?
Draculus, yeah. You want to come down?
What is it?
So all in all, how many hours?
Oh yeah, I think so.
I think a lot of people are not doing this. I don't know if it's
The head was like 3 days of sculpting.
Yeah, I
The body was like 4 days.
was like gonna move home, and I'm like, well, this is gonna be a thing.
Oh yeah, yeah. guys can take photos with him if you want. Yeah.
Yeah, if people want to do selfies and that now, we won't do the wing thing anymore. So if you want to have a picture taken with Rob Drax, Draxy Rob, go at it.
You can stand back.
Yeah, come back here, Robert.
Oh, recording.
There you go. You want to stand out of the way?
Right here?
So for the internships, what is it going to be an internship or is it just like?
It can be whatever you want it to be. We are going to do it as an internship as well, so if you want credit for it.
Can I do first?
Or it can be just volunteer work.
It's not the first time. This is like,
Whoa, wasn't it?
so fun.
Wait, this is my wife.
So got it. Is it going to be like the process? Wait.
No.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. We're just saying.